All right, welcome back to Sunday Nation. Here in our final segment, we want to reflect on the words of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., America's premier civil rights leader, one of the 20th century's greatest black leaders. As we reflect on Martin Luther King Jr. Day tomorrow, January 16th, it is important to look at the words spoken and written by a man who gave it all in defense of black life, in the service of humanity. He spoke truth to power and wrote truth to power, and he said things that made people uncomfortable, the power structure uncomfortable, yet he held his own, yet he defended the dignity of black people. He talked about the fact that he wants his own little children not to be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So as we reflect on King today, I want to read excerpts from perhaps one of the most consequential books ever written by any individual in our democratic experiment. This book is titled, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? And it's Martin Luther King Jr.'s final testament, a book that encompasses many ideas, many things that he has written about and talked about over the course of his pilgrimage here on the planet. And so I'm going to read his challenge to what I call the white liberal establishment. Certainly, the black community's interaction with the white liberal establishment has been sometimes a love-hate relationship. Dr. King in the book, Where Do We Go From Here, writes, and I read, a leading voice in the chorus of social transition belongs to the white liberal, whether he speak through the government, the church, the voluntary welfare agencies, or the civil rights movement. Over the last few years, many Negroes have felt their most troublesome adversary was not the obvious bigot of the Ku Klux Klan or the John Birch Society, but the white liberal who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers tranquility to equality. In a sense, the white liberal has been victimized with some of the same ambivalence that has been a constant part of our national heritage. Even in the areas where white liberals have great influence, labor unions, schools and churches, and politics, the situation of the Negro is not much better than in areas where they are not dominant. That is why many liberals have fallen into the trap of seeing integration in merely aesthetic terms, where a token number of Negroes adds color to a white-dominated power structure. They say, and I quote, our union is integrated from the top to the bottom. We even have one Negro on the executive board. Or, quote, our neighborhood is making great progress in integrated housing. We now have 2 Negro families. Our university has no problem with integration. We have 1 Negro faculty member and even 1 Negro chairman of a department. Often white liberals are unaware of their talent, of their latent prejudices. A while ago, I ran into a white woman who was anxious to discuss the race problem with me. She said, and I quote, I am very liberal. I have no prejudices toward Negroes. I believe Negroes should have the right to vote, the right to a good job, the right to a decent home, and the right to have access to public accommodations. Of course, I must confess that I would not want my daughter to marry a Negro, unquote. This lady could not, Dr. King writes, see that her failure to accept intermarriage negated her claim to genuine liberalism. She failed to see that implicit in her rejection was a feeling that her daughter had some pure superior nature that should not be contaminated by the impure inferior nature of the Negro. Dr. King writes, says, yet in spite of this latent prejudice, in spite of the hard reality that many blatant forms of injustice could not exist without the acquiescence of white liberals, the fact remains that a sound resolution of the race problem in America will rest with those white men and women who consider themselves as generous and decent human beings. Edmund Burke said on one occasion, quote, "When evil men combine, good men must unite." This is a pressing challenge confronting the white liberal. When evil men plot, good men must plan. When evil men burn and bomb, good men must build and bind. When evil men conspire to preserve an unjust status quo, good men must unite to bring about the birth of a society undergirded by justice. Nothing can be more detrimental to the health of America at this time than for liberals to sink into a state of apathy and indifference. The white liberal must see to that the Negro needs not only love but also justice. It is not enough to say we love Negroes. We have many Negro friends. They must demand justice for Negroes. Love does not satisfy. Justice is no love at all. Love that does not satisfy justice is no love at all. It is merely a sentimental affection, little more than what one would have for a pet. Love at its best is justice concretized. Love is unconditional. It is not conditional upon one staying in his place or watering down his demands in order to be considered respectable. He who contends that he used to love the Negro but did not truly love him in the beginning because of his love was conditioned upon the Negro's limited demands for justice. The white liberal must affirm that the absolute justice for the Negro simply means, in Aristotelian sense, that the Negro must have his due. There is nothing abstract about this. It is as concrete as having a good job, a good education, a decent house, and a share of power. It is, however, important to understand that giving a man his due may often mean giving him special treatment. I'm aware of the fact that this has been a troublesome concept for many liberals since it conflicts with their traditional ideal of equal opportunity and equal treatment of people according to their individual merits. But this is a day which demands new thinking and a re-evaluation of all concepts. A society that has done something special against the Negro for hundreds of years must now do something special for him in order to equip him to compete on a just and equal basis. The words of the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. from his final testament, "Where do we go from here, chaos of community," being read to you here on Sunday Nation. We hope you have a great Martin Luther King Jr. holiday and reflect on these words and on this challenge left for us half a century ago. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Bankole Thompson. I'll see you next week with more on Sunday Nation.